Welcome to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm your host, Rachel Main, awesome wife and dog mom for life. I'm a sex therapist turned sex coach, and I run a successful business selling relationship enhancement products. I absolutely love talking about all things sex. So you can expect this podcast to explore all things related to women's sexual health because that's what I'm here for. I'm here to help you discover and embrace what brings you pleasure so that you can own your sexual self. If that sounds good to you, then keep listening and let's fucking do this. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Owning Your Sexual Self podcast. I'm excited to have a friend and a colleague on with me today, Bryn Marhefka. Welcome to the podcast.
Hi, I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yes, I'm so excited to have you on. I know that with working closely with you over the last, 8 months now, I don't even know. It feels like you're just that type of person. I feel like I've known you my entire life. But yeah, it's been so good to hear about your journey. And I know you've gone through a lot of personal things and this amazing self-love journey and this discovery of the new sexual you in the last few years, I'm assuming. So yeah, tell us a little bit about that. We're talking about life after divorce, breaking away from that codependency, and then exploring and embracing that new sexual side of yourself.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited. It's really cool for me to be here as somebody that was, working with you in a capacity of like business coaching and now being on your podcast and just watching you flourish and thrive. It's been really awesome. So
I appreciate it. Yes, of course. Thanks for joining.
Yeah. So my story. So I'm currently a sex, love, and relationship coach, but I didn't start off that way. Like many that go on this path of helping others, I started this journey because it was what I so desperately needed. So I imagine a very similar story to a lot of women, that I was growing up with an understanding of like wanting and desiring to have a husband. It was something I watched my mom really like struggle with growing up. So I'm a child of divorce. I watched what divorce did to my family, and while I wouldn't say it was necessarily traumatic for me, I did see how challenging it was for my mom as a single mother to raise two kids without a partner. And so growing up, I saw this really clear picture of without a man, you will struggle. Like that was the belief that I had embedded in me, that until this person comes and rescues you, like life will be really hard. You'll struggle to make money. You'll struggle to take care of yourself. You'll struggle to take care of your children. So pretty early on, I started to get this understanding of like having a man in my life is really important. And it didn't matter. Like my mom would say such lovely things to me about like being my own independent woman. And I saw her working so hard, and she was so wonderful and worked, like I said, really hard. I had an amazing role model, but I also, the undertone of it was you need a man.
Yeah.
And so I had this belief, wasn't consciously, it was subconsciously, but I take that belief into college, and I pretty much have been in a relationship my whole life until recently. I found partners like the moment that I was allowed to start dating. I was a serial monogamous relationship advocate. Like I just went from one relationship to the next, and I was searching for that thing that was going to make me feel whole. And I could see it in the context of the relationships that I had. They were a lot of times very empty and shallow. I led with sex because I thought that's what I needed to do to attract a man. And then they didn't stick around. So I just was bumping up against all of these like really challenging, like dissatisfying relationships. And then I meet my partner. I meet my husband, ex-husband now, but I meet my, at the time, husband, Chris. I was in college, and all of a sudden he was different than the rest. We really connected deeply. He was choosing me as much as I was choosing him. And all of a sudden it was like the clouds lifted and the sun came through, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I finally found the person. Now I get to get married and life will be really easy, right? Like that's how it goes. I have the savior, everything will get to be great. And for a while that was true. Like we were super in love. We were young. I was 20 when I met him. So I essentially left like the codependency of having my mom take care of me to being in all these relationships. So I always had a man by my side, to going right into the arms of a man that was now taking care of me and in charge of our finances, in charge of our house affairs, in charge of the business that we ran together. So I literally never had to figure out life on my own. And I would say somewhere along the road, I started to get this intuitive hit of like, there has to be something more. More for my life, more for my relationships, more for my like sexual desires, more for my like personal desires. I just started to feel really flat and bored. And now I use that like feeling flat and feeling bored as a red flag. Like when I feel numb, I'm like, oop, there's something off. I'm suppressing something. Something's not right. But at the time, I just didn't know. So that feeling of being off, I probably had for quite a long time. And Chris and I we were great together in that we were partners in so many ways. We owned businesses together. So we were constantly talking about strategy and work and our employees. Both of the businesses we had like really big communities underneath them. One was a CrossFit gym and one was a meal delivery company. And so we were constantly like creating events and taking care of all these people. So we always had something to focus on. And our relationship was just fine. Like there was nothing really wrong with it, but there was no passion either. So again, it was just this like flatness. Our sex was fine. Our intimacy was fine. Our, home affairs were fine. But I didn't want fucking fine. I wanted passion. I wanted like to be thrown up against the wall. I wanted to like feel my life again. I wanted to feel my desires. I wanted to feel excitement and joy. And I knew I was having a really hard time doing that in my marriage. I couldn't quite figure out how to do this with another human being. And so we tried some things. I would say like we started doing our own personal development work. We both found this retreat center that we went to in California that helps you tackle inner child work and limiting beliefs. That was my first taste of like really taking a look at where am I responsible for the life that I've created. So we both started to do this like inner work together, and we both started to see how we had created each other very codependently. So I needed Chris to be my savior. I needed this man in my life who was going to take care of all the things that I never learned or desired to have to do. And he needed to be the martyr. He needed to be somebody's rescuer. He wanted to be in the role of taking care of somebody. So we both fed this like really codependent shit show and fed into each other's patterns. And so it was right after my 30th birthday, and we'd actually gone on a RV trip together. And I tell all of my friends, clients this, like if you want to test your relationship, travel together or travel in a small space. Because all the shit's going to come bubbling up really quickly. And it did. It was a catalyst for us. We saw all of our communication breakdowns. We saw all of our like roadblocks just like boiling up to the surface. And all of a sudden I got this really strong message that I needed time alone. It wasn't necessarily like, hey, we're going to divorce. It was, I need to know who I am without you by my side, literally constantly. We woke up together. We went to our businesses together. We were in this RV together. Our friends were the same. Our passions were the same. There was so much enmeshment of us. There was only the we. There was no like me and him. We only had the like together garden. And so I needed to like break that, or I remember at the time my therapist said like burn it down. I needed to burn down the we garden so that I could figure out who I was. So once I got that hit, I told him. It was probably one of like the saddest, most challenging conversations I've had. Not so much on my side though, because I was really clear it was what I needed. More so because I could see I was really hurting somebody that I loved. And after that, I literally drove myself to Austin, Texas, and was in an RV park and went there like not having really any friends or community. I wanted to go someplace where I could really feel who I was and start to figure out like, who are you when you're not a wife?
Mm-hmm.
Who are you when you're not a partner? Who are you when you're not, Chris's shadow?
Mm-hmm.
And that was really the starting point of my journey of coming back to myself. So I know I gave the really long version, but it felt important to give some context as to how I got here.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, for so many women or just people in general, how often do we get those same signs that you're referencing, that you know, something is hitting you, some thought comes in, and yes, sometimes sure they're intrusive thoughts and they might come up from emotion, but I feel when they keep happening frequently and when they are really, really like striking that chord, those are the things that you want to listen to. And I applaud you, because that took so much courage and so much bravery to be able to, one, even have that conversation, and then two, do, I mean, the drastic thing that you did was just pick up and go to Austin. So now you're in Austin and you're still in Austin. So what happened next, basically? What does the journey continue to?
Yeah. So I remember I'm trying to think of like what to compare it to, but in the beginning, it was like so magical. I remember thinking, this is how I know I made the right decision, because when he left, he drove me to Austin. So we took that trip together, and then he made the trek back without me. But when I got there and he left, I remember feeling relief. Like, oh, I finally have my own space, and can feel myself again. And I think that's such an important part of doing this work of desire. And when I say desire, I mean in all shapes and sizes. Like, what are your desires for the day? What are your desires for your life? What are your sexual desires? Like, there's so much to the desire conversation. But I think as women, like, we're literally hardwired to follow our desire. Like, when you wake up, what is the thing that your pussy wants you to do today? Like, how can you follow that? How can you follow that? Yes, that like delicious juiciness life force in you that tells you, if you listen, like, this is where I want to go. This is what I want to eat. This is what I want to talk to, dance to, listen to. There's so much inner knowing inside of us. And it's really our responsibility as women to get quiet enough to hear our own inner wisdom. And so at first, I was having a great time. I was going out. I was meeting people. I remember like one night in the RV, I decided to have some red wine, and like it was journaling, and then it turned into this wild dance and like masturbation party where I was just like self-pleasuring. And at the time, it makes me giggle thinking what my RV must have looked like from the outside, because those things like shaked and you could hear everything. So I'm like, I probably looked so wild. Probably was called all sorts of things at the RV park, but I was just free. I was free for the first time, and I was so happy to just like be with myself. And it definitely changed. I'll say I was always happy to be with myself, and I was really proud of making that decision. But then the deep sadness came, and the grief, and the like, whoa, everything you've ever known is now gone. Who are you without that? And there's two sides to that. It's like, who am I? And there's this like bright, shiny, like exciting way to explore that. And then there's also the darkness of like, I was so much more codependent than I realized. I was having a hard time making just like normal everyday decisions. Like, where do I want to go co-work today? And I would get exhausted just like researching coffee shops, and I couldn't pick one because I had deferred so much of my power in the past to my husband. So there was this really important time of like just giving myself permission to make decisions and follow my desire, follow my knowing. So one of the biggest and like most exciting parts of my journey was my sexual development journey. Like I had spent my entire sexual adult life like having I'll call it unconscious sex, where like I didn't really know what my desires were. I didn't know how to please myself. I didn't know how I wanted my partner to please me. I didn't know all the different flavors and colors and styles of sex. Like I just knew like basic missionary and doggy, and like that was it. And I had learned that, you know, when a man finishes his orgasm, sex is over. Whether or not I've orgasmed, it's all about his pleasure. So like sex was very like singularly focused for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I had also used sex in a way to really, like, maybe it was manipulative, maybe not, but I had led with sex so much that I knew it as a tool to like get what I wanted. So I guess it was manipulative in some ways. And like very much not as enjoyable as I wanted it to be.
Mm-hmm.
And so in this sexual development journey, it was like, what can sex be? Like, what can sex become? What are all these like amazing things I've heard in like whispers that other women are referring to? And
Mm-hmm.
so I remember buying myself a vibrator and going to a sex workshop for the first time, where I learned about hair pulling and choking and how to do those things safely, and spanking. I went to a BDSM workshop where I learned about the dom and sub archetypes and what I like in those flavors. And I learned about lube, and I couldn't believe like I had gone my whole life without using lubrication.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember saying to my coach at the time, that was another thing that I did. I hired a sex coach, because who knew that you could hire a coach to help you in your sex life? And I remember sharing with her, I was having sex with seating somebody new after I left my husband. And I remember telling her, we were in a long distance relationship, and so we would come together and we'd have lots of wild sex. And I was like, I'm so sore. Like everything hurts. And I feel silly because now I can't continue to have sex with him, and he's only here for like another day, and I want to, but I'm in so much pain. She's like, well, what kind of lube are you using? And I remember saying like, lube? Question? She's like, yeah, let's start there. Let's get you some really good quality lubrication, and I swear to you, everything is going to feel so much more pleasurable. And that was such a game changer for me. But here I was at 30 years old, and I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm.
So that was a big part of my journey, and one that I'm so excited and enjoy so deeply, helping women in their own exploration. Because when I tapped into my own sexual power, it correlated to all other parts of my life. I felt more confident. I felt more comfortable in my skin. I was happier because I was having more orgasms, and I felt more pleasure. And I just felt more connected to my womanhood. Mm-hmm. It's like, oh, this feels like a deep part of me that was always dying to be expressed, and I didn't know how to do that in a way that felt good to me in the past. So yeah, that I would say that was definitely like the next part of my journey. And then from there, I fell in love so much with my own journey that I decided to start helping other women with theirs.
Yeah. And I strongly believe that those make the best coaches and the best workers in general, because you've gone through the experiences, you've seen what's worked and what's not. And although this is never like a one size fits all type thing, you've experienced and been through so many different things in terms of like these workshops that you mentioned, and the journey yourself, and trying new things and reading about new things, that you can provide so much insight to others. And I love that, because what you were saying, you're like, yeah, everything was fine, the sex was fine, the marriage was fine, but I've said this recently many times, like, nobody wants to be on their deathbed saying like, yeah, I led a pretty fine life. Like, no, we want that shit to be fucking extraordinary. Like, we want to be able to tell our kids and our grandkids and our friends and the people that we, die near, like, how amazing our lives were. And I believe that when we can do these things on our own, and we go through this own journey, and we share it with other people, that inspires so many people to want to do the same work.
Oh, I love that so much. And I had goosebumps when you were sharing that. That's like my barometer of if I'm feeling something, I get goosebumps. But yeah, to me, it's like, if I can help more women follow that fire and follow that passion. I was just talking about this the other day on my Instagram, that for so long in my life, I did everything the rigid way. I did everything the way that it was supposed to be, very structured, by the books, beautiful on the outside. And now my commitment is to just show up anyway. Show up messy, show up messily in love, show up messily in sex, messily in vulnerability. Like, how can I be my most authentic self and fuck whatever else it's supposed to look like? And the depth of my relationships and the depth of my intimacy, my friendships, my romantic relationships, my work has only just gotten better when I've committed to just doubling, tripling down on myself and doing it anyway. It's such a scary place to be so vulnerable and to like experiment in the bedroom, to have the tough conversation with your partner, but it's so rewarding on the other side because you're not hiding anything. When we hide stuff, it literally manifests as pain and disease and stuckness in our body. And when we're constantly having to repress parts of ourselves, the more we can just like relax into the comfort of who we are as women, the more we're going to find that really great friend because they see who we are and they love us back for that. Or the more we're going to find a partner that can meet us in life because they see all parts of us and they love us anyway. And so that's what I really love is like the messy vulnerability. Even though it feels horrible when you're doing it. And I was talking with a friend about this the other day. I was like, I don't know if being vulnerable ever gets easier. You just get more confident knowing you're not going to die doing it. But on the other side of the vulnerability is hopefully more connection and intimacy.
Yeah. And yeah, I'm getting all like the Brene Brown vibes when you're saying that and talking about vulnerability and tapping into that and allowing yourself to step in that light of vulnerability, because what often comes from the other side of it and going through that is something that is so liberating, and I think gains us a lot of respect from the person or people that we're showing that vulnerable side to. And I even love too, you were talking like when you can step into a relationship and have this very open conversation about sex and all things that are involved with the sexual realm, that makes all those other day-to-day conversations or hard conversations that are going to come up in the future so much more easier, because for so many people talking about sex is very difficult. It's so taboo still, even given all this work that we do. And so I'm like, in my head, I'm like, okay, if I can talk to you about this, I can talk to you about this, you know, and it just, I know it does. It makes, there's nothing to hide. There's nothing that you're feeling shame about because it's all out there on the table.
Truly. And yeah, sex it's definitely another layer. Like some people can have tough conversations with their girlfriends, but it's really hard romantically. And some people are great talking to their partners, but there's blocks with other women. So I encourage like whoever's listening to really get clear on like, where are your own personal blocks and what's like one thing that you can do that is going to allow you to work towards having that one tougher conversation or sharing a part of yourself that you had been hiding. It doesn't have to be everything all at once, but what's one tiny thing you can do that allows you to break that pattern of like hiding all parts of you? Yeah, because especially in the bedroom, it's one thing to talk about sex, but it's another thing to do the dance with somebody and in the middle be able to communicate what's working for you and what's not. And that's been one of the most healing parts of my journey. And I'm laughing because I'm remembering like a specific moment where I had gone to that workshop about spanking, hair pulling and choking. And right afterwards, I was dating this guy at the time and we wanted to try some things that we had just learned. And I wanted to, it wasn't just spanking, it was like smacking of all body parts. And I really wanted to smack him. I was like, I want to hit him right across the face. This is going to be so fun. It's going to feel so good. And they taught us like a safe way to do it. But in the heat of the moment, I was not thinking about anything that I had just learned. And you're not supposed to like wind up at all. You're supposed to just like flick your wrist. Because you can actually like dislocate someone's jaw if you hit them in a way that's too forceful. And I remember like winding my arm up, going to like smack him. I didn't cue him up at all. Like there's so many things that are cringy and wrong about this. And I went to go hit him and I missed. I like fully missed his face. So I like swatted at him in the middle of having sex and just burst out laughing. We both did. But like that's the level of commitment to just like try shit anyway. Mm-hmm. Like do the thing that feels so awkward, laugh during sex, cry during sex, be vulnerable. It can't be perfect. Like if you're performing during sex, you're going to have performative sex that most likely isn't very pleasurable. Mm-hmm. So it takes that commitment to trying shit, which also means you're most likely going to fuck up. You're going to make mistakes. It's going to be awkward. You're going to laugh, hopefully with a partner, and yeah, be able to try all these fun new things together.
Yeah, I love that. Yeah, and I say that often too, like sex is awkward as fuck. Like you have to embrace that. Like our bodies in general, the noises that they make, like I'm laughing about things like if we try a new sex position, I literally like get a Charlie horse or something. I'm like, we have to stop because I literally cannot feel my leg right now. And you're right. Like we just laugh so hard, and when you can be open and say that rather than laying there suffering with like your leg numb the whole time because you were so scared to like vocalize that. Yeah, it does. It creates so much more fun in the bedroom. I agree.
Yes, so much fun.
So good.
Yeah, Charlie horse and sex is the worst.
So you had also mentioned too, and I kind of want to touch on this. I know it's outside of the sexual realm, but just this journey of discovering yourself. So, and more terms of that, just self-love in general outside of that sexual piece. So what other things, so if somebody's wanting to do a similar journey as you, or maybe they're on it right now, were there other things that you tried or, embraced during this time?
Yeah, that's such a good question. My self-love journey, this is one of the things that I really enjoy teaching to other women too, is that you have all the answers. There is no guru, no coach, no guide, no book, no podcast, nothing that is going to give you something that you don't already inherently have inside of you. It may give you a light bulb that allows you to see your own truth, but the more I can empower women to understand you have all of it inside of you, like the more self-love is going to be cultivated, because that's what it is love of the self. And so what better way to practice and engage in loving yourself than allowing yourself to show you the way? And the best way to do that, it actually isn't with more tools and more things. It's typically with getting quiet. It's one of the things that I think is so underrated, not overrated, is getting quiet, removing yourself from distractions, removing yourself from, whatever noise, friend advice you're receiving, the like 30 books deep that you've been looking for this thing in. Chances are that all of that is helpful to a point. And I'm a coach, so of course I want women to come and work with me. You're a coach. You have an amazing podcast. There are tools and resources for a reason. But where I find myself included and a lot of women getting lost is they keep giving their power away. They keep looking for something or someone to tell them the next thing to do, the next best step. When in reality, any resource or tool you use should be helping you to discover your own truth. It shouldn't be giving you the answer. So if you're going to find a coach, if you're going to find a podcast, if you're going to find whatever the resource is, let it guide you to your own truth. Hear what they're saying, and then ask yourself, and what do I know to be true? And the best way you can do that is to give yourself space to be quiet. So every morning, I spend the first 2 hours of my day in silence. I will play, sometimes I'll play music, but it's usually without words, so I'm not thinking of lyrics or things. And I'm usually in either a meditative position, not for 2 hours, but sometimes it'll be 30 minutes. And the other piece of that is I'm moving my body, because so many times the answers are inside of us, but they may feel stuck. So movement can be a really great way to untap and clear these energetic blocks where you may not have answers to the thing you've been thinking of, but that's why you're stuck is because you're trying to logic your way through something.
Mm-hmm.
So the more I can help women, and myself included, get into my body, that is where my wisdom lies. It's never up in my mind. Every once in a while, like, I'll get a great idea, but it's not because I logic my way there. It's because I let myself get quiet enough to have the wisdom come through. And my body will tell me. My body literally will light up when something excites me, or it will pull away when I'm like grossed out or like not excited by something. And so if I can learn to listen to those cues, and I fuck this up all the time. Like, I preach on this, but I also am a student of this, and I will be my whole life. How can I learn to trust my intuition faster, and get clear? Like, I just ended a relationship in the last week, and I look back and somebody asked me, they're like, oh, how are you doing? I think the default answer is to say, I'm so sorry when somebody breaks up. And I say, why? Like, you know, are you actually sorry to end this relationship? Or is it something to be celebrated because you got clear on what your next step is? And I say this because when I was on the other side and we had ended the relationship, and somebody said to me, like, I'm so sorry. And I said, I'm actually really in a place of groundedness and peace with ending the relationship. Where I feel sadness is that I knew this wasn't the right relationship for me. I knew it intuitively for over a year, and I stayed anyway. And so that to me is so much more painful than staying with somebody that you know isn't right for you. It's the inner knowing of like, oof, but you knew that. Why did you stay? And I say that with so much love and compassion. And that's where I ultimately want to end up, is not from a place of like shaming myself, but yeah, how can you listen to your intuition faster, listen to your body's inner wisdom, and move your body more? All of those things will be so helpful on anyone's self-love journey.
Yeah. Now I have the goosebumps because, yeah, how many times have we heard somebody say that? Get quiet, get in tune with yourself, listen to your gut, which is basically your intuition. You know, it's like, and so many people, it's so, myself included, it's so hard for me to even get in that quiet space to allow those things to happen. So thank you for that reminder, and thank you for mentioning that, because I know so many women need to hear that.
I'm so glad. Yeah, do less. That's my offering. Don't pick up another book. Do less. Just be quiet. And that quiet is going to be so fucking uncomfortable. It is going to make your skin crawl. You're going to want to watch Netflix. You're going to want to pick up your phone. You're going to want to go shopping and like buy 30 sweaters on, you know, Amazon or whatever instead. But I promise you, if you can sit with the discomfort long enough, there will be a breakthrough. There will be something that shifts in you that gives you whatever it is you've been looking for. It's sitting with that discomfort just long enough, and that's where the magic is on the other side.
Yeah. And part of that vulnerability as well, like getting vulnerable with yourself, and again, just sitting through that discomfort and just believing that what you need to hear is going to come out on the other side.
And it's not always in the timeline you want it to either. So it's not like, oh, if I lock myself in a room and I get quiet for an hour, like everything will be better. Sometimes that shit needs months, and maybe it needs years. Like, you can't rush these processes. So whenever the feelings of frustration come back, it's always really nice along your self-love journey and your discovery journey and your sexual development to have these mantras that can really anchor you. So one that I love and I use all the time, especially when I don't believe it, is I trust God's plan. I trust that the universe has my back. Everything is happening for me. These are these like one sentence mantras that I will remember and say to myself, like I said, especially when I don't believe it, to remind myself, like, okay, this feels so crunchy right now, but there's a reason why this is happening, and it hasn't revealed itself to you. But if you can sit with this long enough, you will see in the long run why this all happened.
Yep. Awesome. So, okay, if somebody's wanting to find you, Bryn, how do they find you on social? And tell us a little bit about any programs or things that you have going on right now, or that might be coming up in the future.
Yeah, so you can find me at Bryn Marhefka, and I'm sure you'll have a link for somebody to just click that, because it's a mouthful. And then as far as working with me, the best way is just to shoot me a DM on Instagram. You'll see the link in my bio. It has a schedule to get on a call with me. My jam is working with women one-on-one.
Mm-hmm.
I've done some group programs and I may launch some things in the upcoming months, but my favorite way to work with women is in a one-on-one container. So if you are in a place where you're either just having left a relationship or you're considering leaving a relationship, my goal is never to break and end relationships. Like, I hope people know that,
Mm-hmm.
but it is to help you discover your truth in any direction. And so I really, if you are looking in terms of, I want to discover my truth, I want to come back to myself, I want to go down this discovery journey, that I would love to have you send me a message.
Awesome. I know there are several people that are popping into my mind right now that I'm like, I need to send them Bryn's info for sure. And I will say I've worked with Bryn in the business container realm, I guess, but also have had the opportunity to connect with her individually on one-on-one calls, much like this podcast actually. And she is wonderful and amazing, and somebody that you can share openly to and freely to, and know that you're being heard and that you're being understood, which I think is so important in this type of work, is that what we're telling people, we are actually being heard.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, this has been great. Yeah, we'll definitely link everything in the show notes for people to easily find you. And again, thanks for coming onto the podcast. This has been an awesome, awesome conversation.
My pleasure. I love you, and thank you.
I love you. Thank you so much for listening to today's episode. If you loved it, be sure to subscribe so you never miss a thing. And if you loved it so fucking much, be sure to leave a 5-star review. I'll see you next week, and until then, keep owning your sexual self.